Hi guys, Jay here, Full-Time Devils with your daily transfer update. Now, for once, we're not going to start with Harry Maguire. We're not even going to talk about Harry Maguire much because there's nothing much to give you an update on, and I think we've covered that so many times on these transfer updates. It seems to become the Harry Maguire update. No, the main story today is about Bruno Fernandes. Now, this has been going on for a little while now with United and Bruno Fernandes. The talk was that a few months ago, United indicated to Bruno Fernandes' agent that we were interested in him, and that we would be sort of looking at him towards the end of the season when the transfer window's open. Then it was a case of, well, United doing one deal at a time. So once we've got first we focused on Daniel James, then it was Aaron Wan-Bissaka, now it's Harry Maguire. Now, there's a lot of stories coming out of the Portuguese press that United are finally set to make a bid for Bruno Fernandes. A couple of Portuguese papers reporting it, that United are now set to bid 70 million for him, because originally it was thought that price had put United off, that we weren't prepared to pay £70 million, whereas now the sort of the latest stories are that we are prepared to pay it, and that we are going to pay it as well, and that one of the reasons that sort of it's going to happen sooner rather than later is because Tottenham are also interested in Bruno Fernandes. They've been sniffing around him, and you just wonder how long this can go on for before someone makes a bid and that bid is successful. Now, whether Bruno Fernandes has indicated, or his agent has indicated to United that he will come to United, we don't know. We do know that obviously he's a talented player, he's a player that would fit into United's system, you would think, quite easily. Even if Paul Pogba stays, and it's looking like Paul Pogba will stay, I can still see Bruno Fernandes and Paul Pogba playing together. You just wonder how long United can sort of procrastinate on this. How long can we drag it on for? If we are going to bid for him, then we need to do it sooner rather than later. So the latest reports are that it's going to be sooner. So we're looking at something, according to the Portuguese press, imminently over the next few days. United will make a bid that should be enough to at least put Sporting Lisbon talk to us. Whether it's going to be enough to get him remains to be seen, because as we know, with the various transfers we had this season, there was only the Daniel James one we had where the bid was sort of okay and there was no drama. With Aaron Wan-Bissaka, it just went on and on and on and on for what seemed like an eternity, even though it was only about 2.5 weeks, whatever it was, or 2 weeks. Harry Maguire has continued to go on. It's still going on now, because we know that United's bid wasn't enough. I did say I wasn't going to keep talking about Harry Maguire, so apologies. Now, another story that's come out, which is a bit of a strange one, because this sort of came out of nowhere a few weeks ago, and it's not gone away. Now, I didn't mention it yesterday on the Transfer Daily Update yesterday. There was it sort of broke just after I finished, and it was one of those, not broke, but there was more stories around it after I finished, and it was one of those where you think, oh, could this really happen? But a few weeks ago, Andy Goldstein on TalkSport, he said that Arsenal and United have been in talks. So United have been in talks with Arsenal to buy Patrick Aubameyang. Now, it was one of those where you heard that and you thought, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Patrick is. You heard it and you thought, really? Aubameyang to United? What, he's 30 years old and he's Arsenal's one of their best players, if not their best player. Are they really going to sell him to us? Are they really going to do what they did with Van Persie and with Sanchez? And after Sanchez, are we really going to want to go to Arsenal and buy an ageing player from them? Because, as I said earlier, he's 30 years old, he's not going to get any younger, and he's also going to cost a lot of money. But this rumour, or this story, isn't going away. And I think it was the Sun. Well, you can argue the Sun aren't exactly the most reliable. They were running it with it yesterday, saying that United are willing to pay 62 million quid for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Now, you have to ask yourself, would United sell Romelu Lukaku for what we expect to be around 70 million, 75 million, 60 million of add-ons? We'll get on to Romelu Lukaku later, by the way. Would they then use that money to buy Aubameyang? Now, Lukaku, for whatever you say about him, whether you think he's good enough or not, he's only, 26? So he's still got a few years left in him. Aubameyang, he hasn't got many years left in him. Now, it's a question of, is 62 million quid nowadays worth it for someone who's maybe got 1 or 2 seasons in them? You could argue, if he gets you into the Champions League, then yeah, it is. Would Arsenal be willing to sell him? Well, you think no. But then you look at it, Arsenal haven't got much of a transfer budget. I think they're one of the only... a few people in the comments this year picked me up on the Patrick one. I did apologise. one of the few clubs who've got less money to spend than we have. I think they've been told they've got 40 million quid to spend, which doesn't get you a lot, and they're chasing after Wilfried Zaha from Crystal Palace, who obviously is a massive talent and could make a big difference to them. So maybe they would be willing to sell Aubameyang. Maybe they would look at it and they would think, yeah, let's do this. Let's make this happen, because he's ageing. We've still got Lacazette. We can bring in Zaha. It makes sense for us. I'm just not so sure. I mean, we know that Aubameyang can score a lot of goals. I think he scored 22 Premier League goals last season. That's more than anyone at United got near. Now, United have bought older players in the past. We bought Teddy Sheringham, and I think when he was 31. I'm not saying that Aubameyang's as good as Sheringham or anything like that. He's a different type of player. The thing with Aubameyang, though, he's a player that uses his pace and he's quick. And when you get the wrong side of 30, and believe me, I speak from experience, your pace does tend to go. So is he going to be the same player next season or even the season after? I don't think so. I just don't see this happening. I'm just really sceptical about it. I don't know where it's come from, but I don't see it happening. We'll have to wait and see. It's not going away, though, the story at the minute, and you can sort of see why this is being mentioned and how it could make sense, but you'd have to ask yourself, what sort of ambition Arsenal have if they're willing to let their top scorer, one of their best players, come to United. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, that one. I was mentioning Romelu Lukaku earlier. The latest on him is that Antonio Conte has been speaking him up. Now, Conte's made it pretty clear how much he likes Romelu Lukaku and how much he wants him, and even how much he wanted him. He said how in the past, when I was Chelsea's coach, I tried to bring him to Chelsea. I think that was around the time that he signed Morata. We know that Lukaku is obviously after a move. Now, Ollie's spoken about Lukaku, and he said that Lukaku isn't going to play against Inter tomorrow. He said he's not fit. You can make of that what you will. Is he really not fit, or is this just a case of he doesn't want to play, or the club are trying to make this move happen? I'm not so sure, but it seems as though we may have seen Romelu Lukaku's last game for Manchester United. This is a deal that seems to make a lot of sense for everyone. We've been speaking about it a lot on the show, on the channel, and on the updates, because it's been going on for the last few weeks. We know Conte's a big fan. We know Lukaku wants to go, and we know with Lukaku it hasn't quite worked out for him at United. I think a lot of people would be quite happy to see him go, because they just don't feel he's up to it. His first season, good. 27 goals in all competitions. Did okay, hit the ground running when he arrived, then went off the boil a bit, then sort of found his feet a little bit. Well, it's been very up and down at United, Romelu Lukaku. He's never quite sort of had a consistent run of goal scoring. He's had fits and starts, and I don't think he's also been helped by his managers. Jose Mourinho brought him in and used him in a different way than he'd been used at Everton. At Everton, he was someone that could sort of run onto the ball, get onto the through balls and all the rest of it. And at United, all of a sudden, he was being used as like a target man. He was having balls fired into him. And there's question marks about his touch. Now, if you've got question marks about someone's control, using them as a target man isn't always the best idea. So I don't know why, I don't know what the sort of thinking was there. Obviously, Jose thought he could maybe just take over from Ibrahimovic in that role. Didn't quite work out. Then Ollie came in, and Ollie didn't fancy him at first. He used Rashford up front as the main sort of target man, as the main number 9. Then, when there was injuries, he brought Lukaku in, and Lukaku had a good spell. He scored quite a few goals. He scored, I think it was 6 in 3 games, whatever it was. Scored against Paris Saint-Germain, of course, got a couple of goals. Looked like he could finally be finding his feet at Old Trafford, and with a manager like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who was a striker, who understood what it takes to score goals in the Premier League, score goals for Manchester United, you thought maybe he can work with him, maybe he can get him to a new level, but then he dropped him, and then he'd bring him back in and drop him again. He just never sort of got a run, and then you got the impression that he just didn't fancy him. A lot of the time when Lukaku played as well, under Ole, he was almost shifted out wide. He wasn't played as a winger, but he almost ended up there, and it just didn't quite happen for him again. So you get the impression that this is a move that the striker wants, and that most of the fans want. Most of the fans we've spoken to on the channel wouldn't be too disappointed to see Romelu Lukaku go. I know there is one or two that say we should keep him. What worries me about Lukaku going is we don't have a replacement. We've not been linked with anyone who could come in as a striker other than Aubameyang, who I mentioned earlier, which doesn't really seem to be realistic in my opinion. Now, Mason Greenwood, He's had a good start to pre-season. He's only young, we know that. I think he made his Premier League debut at the back end last season at Cardiff. Could he come in and be another option as a striker? Can you have him, Martial and Rashford as your 3 striker options? It's not the worst scenario I've ever heard, but I do feel we'd be a little bit light up front if we lost Lukaku and didn't buy anyone. And also, if you're going to get 70 million quid or whatever it is United are after for Romelu Lukaku, then why are you not bringing in someone else? I think you should be. I think you should be going for a striker to replace him, and I think that that's only right. And I think that what United are saying with Lukaku and the fact that we know that Inter were willing to pay 60 million and United said no, that's not enough, I think makes a lot of sense. Because I don't think, even if you don't think Lukaku is good enough for United, I don't think he is a player that will go to somewhere like Inter and won't score goals. He will score goals at Inter Milan, and a goal scorer is worth, in this day and age, a 26-year-old goal scorer is worth around 70 million quid, especially with someone like Lukaku, who's got a pedigree of scoring goals wherever he's gone. Even at United, where he struggled, he's still scored a relatively decent amount of goals. He's not far off one every other game, which is pretty impressive when you consider the sort of the torrid time that he's had. Now, in that vein of thought, when you look at United and strikers who've been linked with, and Aubameyang, as I mentioned, don't really see that happening. One player that sort of popped up on the radar recently is Paulo Dybala from Juventus. Now, we know what he can do. He scored against us at Old Trafford when we played them in the Champions League in the group stages. He's quite a versatile attacker. He can play in attacking midfield as well, or he can play as a striker. He scored quite a lot of goals, didn't he, Dybala? A couple of seasons ago, was it 2 seasons ago? He got sort of like 26 goals, whatever it was. I think it was 20 odd Serie A goals and something similar. He's not really had as many goals last season. He wasn't a prolific goal scorer, but he's been used in a variety of roles. He's also got a certain Cristiano Ronaldo playing alongside him, and you know that sometimes when you've got him as your main man, he becomes the main man, and other players have to sort of provide for him. And yes, you'll still get your fair share of goals, but you might not be as prolific because you're playing alongside someone who scores 30, 40 goals, 50 goals a season, so he's always going to be the main goal scorer. So this is someone who, I think if he came to United, I don't think many people would be gutted about that. I just don't know if it's going to happen because there's been a sort of rumours that he's a bit reluctant to move to United. We're not in the Champions League, so he may be looking at that thinking, do I want to go to a club that's playing in the Europa League? And also, you remember when Juventus were in for Paul Pogba? Now, if Dybala wanted to come to United, it would have made sense for cash plus Dybala deal to be done there. That didn't happen, so I don't know. It's again, this seems like, unlike the Aubameyang one where I think United wouldn't really be in for him, I could see United being interested in Dybala. I just don't know if we want to come to United at the moment when we're in this transition. We've got a manager who's not been with us that long. We're not in the Champions League. We've not exactly set the world alight in the transfer market this summer, if we're being brutally honest. It's not like you can go to a player and can say, look, we're going out there and we're sort of really going to challenge next season because we've bought all these players in. You know, you can say, yes, we've bought young players, good young players in Daniel James and Aaron Wan-Bissaka, but we've not really gone all out there, have we? In terms of some of the players that we've in terms of the way we've gone about our transfer business. So I don't know. It's one of them for me. I think we'll have to see about that. We'll have to see whether Dybala, whether that's going to happen or not. I just think it's one to monitor, see what's happening. Someone said on the update, the in-out section, you're missing Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Yeah, there we are actually. That's my fault there. I think I've pressed the wrong button somewhere along there, so apologies for that. We know we bought Aaron Wan-Bissaka. That one we covered about every day for about 2 weeks, so apologies for that one. I'm just going to go into the comments here and see what everyone was saying. Someone's decided to support Real Madrid now that they've signed Hazard. Well, I'm gutted to hear about that. You know, never nice to lose fans, but yeah, we've just United haven't really kicked on. Yeah, well, that's a fair comment, and not in leaving not supporting United. That's not even ever a fair comment. But in terms of United haven't kicked on in the transfer market, we haven't really gone about our business in the way many fans would have wanted us to. When Ollie was talking at the end of last season that a lot of players will be going. Who aren't up to it will be going, and we're going to make some signings. Everyone expected us to really sort of kick on and spend lots of money. That's not really happened. We've bought in Daniel James quite early on. We took our time getting the deal done for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Now it seems that Harry Maguire is the main focus. So we haven't had the 5, 6, 7 transfers that a lot of people were expecting. I never thought we would. I always thought we'd have 3 or 4 signings this summer. I was hoping it'd be more 4 than 3. And then maybe another couple in January. I always thought it was going to take 3 or 4 transfer windows to sort this out. I'm a bit surprised though that as we're getting into sort of towards the end of July, we've only had 2 deals done. That is a little bit of a surprise. Looking at the comments, people are saying that, you know, we need, Milford saying we need a centre-back urgently. Yeah, we do. Someone says Ben Yedder has been linked. That's right, yeah. Ben Yedder is another one who scored against United as well in the Champions League for Sevilla. He's another one who was linked a few weeks ago. Again, it's gone a little bit quiet. We'll have to wait and see what's happening with that one. Listen, guys, I'm going to leave it there because I don't want to just keep repeating myself. The big news there, obviously, has been that Bruno Fernandes, United are apparently preparing a bid for Bruno Fernandes. He could be coming to Old Trafford because United have been in for him for a little while. They've sort of put it off because they've been trying to get other deals done, but now Tottenham are also sniffing around him. So the latest news is that we're going to see a bid for Bruno Fernandes imminently. We're over in Singapore. I'm not there. Obviously, I'm here in Manchester, but Adam McCullough is over there. Stephen Howson is over there. They've been giving updates, been doing previews for the Inter game tomorrow. We'll have fan cams and reaction from that game. Guys, don't forget to get involved in the comments as always. Let us know as well. If you've heard any transfer rumours, please let us know. We always want to hear your stories. Don't forget to subscribe as well. There's a subscribe button there in the bottom corner. So please follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter and get involved. And as always, thanks for watching.